Steven from the Vargas team here again, and welcome to another episode. This one, as you can probably see just by how it's framed, is very different from our traditional episodes that you see on a weekly basis. So we're kind of taking a reprieve, if you will, from the property tour videos because this is the last video of the year. Our team decided to do something a little different, and that is to introduce ourselves to those of you who probably aren't aware of everybody else on the Vargas team, and second, kind of give you a recap as to what's going on or what's happened or transpired in the last 2 years in the real estate industry and what is happening in 2023 and onward. So with that being said, guys, let me introduce you all to everybody here on the team. Obviously, I am Steven Vargas from the Vargas team. I think I mentioned that. My lovely wife sitting next to me here is the co-founder of the Vargas team, as well as the co-founder of our property arm of the company, which is Confidant Property Management. And these two lovely people that we have in front of us are Mario and Isabel from the Vargas team, a couple of force and definitely people that you'll be seeing in the future. Our roles kind of, migrate to different things depending on, the services that our clients need. But for the most part, I would say that Mario and Isabel are mostly in charge of the rentals that we do and the purchases that we do here and servicing our clients. Chloe, my wife, is in charge of the operations for our property management company. And I usually just do the listings, the sales, and also help buyers in the process. But of course, we all do a little bit of everything, but that's usually how our day-to-day is segmented. And with that said, welcome to our first podcast episode of the year. I think this is the first one we've ever done, and I think it's something that I want to do depending on the engagement. So if you haven't, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and let us know if this is some of the type of content you want to see in the future. With that said, guys, kind of crazy year, right? I think that 2022 has been a little bit insane. And the reason why I think that is 2021 was a pivotal moment in the real estate industry coming back from COVID and just everything gearing up. And 2022 started that way, which was insane. But it ended up just being like a complete screeching of the brakes. Everything kind of stopped and slowed down. We're still selling real estate. We're still doing real estate, but it is in a different capacity, in a different way. What have you guys noticed? I guess let's start with the rentals and then we'll build our way up, right? What have you guys noticed in the rental market different in this year versus how it was just a year or 2 years ago?
So what's up, guys? I'm excited to be here. I don't think you guys have seen me at all. But yeah, I handle the rentals with Mario as well. This past year has been pretty crazy. Still a bunch of people moving down to Miami, so it's been a little rough for us. Some challenges that we had with the rentals, getting our offers accepted. Yeah, I know Mario as well. You had issues. Tons of clients coming down. Yeah, I think on average when we were submitting an offer, I think there were like 4 other offers as well. And, some at asking, some over asking price. So that was definitely something crazy this year.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Yeah. Getting people approved and accepted has been a thing the whole year. Towards the end of the year, I've noticed it has gotten a little bit easier. But now it's not so much as to, getting them accepted. It's having everybody want to rent an apartment. Because right now I feel like everybody, particularly the last 2 months, everybody's on vacation mode. I've had a really hard time trying to get my clients to just, come out here. That's one of the things that I've noticed. A lot more things on the market.
Inventory. A lot more inventory than at the beginning of the year.
A lot of price drops, but for some reason, it's still pretty competitive.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you don't hear of a multiple offer situation in rentals. It's not something you come across. Usually that is kind of left to purchases. And, that was true for us in the purchase market, helping buyers do that. But in the rental market, it's always been interesting to kind of tell our clients, like, hey, you may have to offer above asking and you may have to compete with other people. So you may have to be willing to pay 6 months of rent up front, a year's rent up front, and you have to showcase yourself. I think that the best offers are positioned by real estate agents who know how to tell the story. I've always said to some of our clients, especially when Chloe and I were doing a lot of rentals coming up, we would always tell them it's about positioning you in the right frame to the seller as to why they should want you as their tenant, right? And it's more than just, here are my documents, right? It's just about like telling the story of your rental history, of your rental payments, of your credit history, of where you work, why you work there, like your ascension into other roles, and what your idea of the living in Miami is, right? As silly as that sounds, I think sellers want to have some sort of like experience and relationship with their tenant in some way. Tell me a little bit more for those people who are thinking about migrating to Miami and like what it means to rent here. What are some of the do's and don'ts about renting? Like, what do they have to have, and what are the things that most people are probably doing wrong that's causing them not to get their offer accepted?
So definitely have, your money in the bank. I know a lot of you guys don't want to have your money in the bank and it's in cash and you come to me, you're like, hey, I have all this money. Yeah. And it's like, no, we need to show proof of funds through bank statements. That's definitely something I saw, especially with the crypto world when a lot of people were making money before. I saw that for sure.
I had a guy one time come to the walkthrough with cash. And we had to stop.
Like in a duffel bag?
No, literally. And he was paying 6 months up front.
Wow.
The rent was like $3,800, and we had to stop at. I think we had to stop.
I
at
was
like
with him that day.
5 different Publixes. The whole table was full of money orders.
So it's like some Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, I think you sent us a picture of this.
No,
and we were like laughing. I was like, oh my God.
And the agent couldn't believe it. He was like, I wasn't really having a hard time with the agent.
Trying to explain.
And when I pulled up and I had all those money orders, he couldn't believe it.
Yes,
I think
no cash. No cash, guys.
No cash, for sure. I think another thing is make sure your credit's on point. The number one. People really want to know that they're going to get paid. So that's understand that you need 3 months of rent to be able to rent. Yeah, unless you're renting at a rental community, but that's a whole other story.
But there's also ancillary costs to the rent, right? Which I always bring up. So like, not only are you going to have 3 months of rent that you need to pay, but you also have to have your money for your move-in, right? Mm-hmm. Which your application fees with the HOA. There's probably going to be some sort of elevator deposit that you need to pay, right? For sure. And so a good rule of thumb for you guys out there, aside from the 3 months of rent that you need to pay, probably another $300 to $700 additional to that, which will cover all your costs, and that's not even including your moving costs.
I would say if it's Miami, like $1,000, like just always have $1,000 and just additional expenses.
It also depends on like the range of rent you're paying, right?
Association fees or deposits now.
Yeah. So I guess what this all points out to, since there's so many variations, is work with the real estate agent that knows the market and the building, because then they'll be able to give you the information that you need as to what amount of rent you need or what amount of money you need to have ready, because it's more than just 3 months. And I feel like a lot of people would, get surprised and get taken back about like, wow, I didn't know I have to pay, a additional deposit to the building, a $150 application fee, a $400 elevator fee. Miami is expensive. I don't even think that's legal for them to charge that, but that's a topic for another conversation. But aside from the rental market, now that's 2021, right? Coming into 2022, multiple offers isn't as prominent as it was back then, right? Like we're not seeing are you guys still seeing multiple offer scenarios?
Remember another thing, this is our full official first year
this is actually my first year
in real estate. So
that's right.
Yeah, Isabel was more towards the end of last year.
Yeah,
they
so
worked
Isabel
together
got
as a
the
team
cusp
this year.
of like the last year, and then which is crazy. You guys being thrown into this market. That's a great segue as to like new agents, right? You guys are new agents. So what is your advice to new agents coming in who either have started their business within the last 12 months or are thinking about starting this new year?
I think a big thing that I got very, very fortunate in is joining a team. Number one, hanging out with you guys is super fun. But second of all, getting help, right? Getting mentorship, getting somebody to teach you. I've had calls with Steven. I've had calls with Isabel even, because she was there for a bit of 2021. I joined first day of 2022. And just having somebody who could mentor you, who could teach you, having a brokerage who will teach you the documents, teach you
contracts,
filling
them out.
You have support.
Making sure you have support, number one. Number two,
especially your first year. Sorry to cut you off, because you're going to need so much
guidance. No, but
Story of our lives.
Yeah.
And I think too, like you guys as a team coming in went through a lot this year for your first year, especially because you had all those questions. And I mean, I guess you just had to dodge a lot of bullets this year. And I think that you guys should go into that like detail as to like what made you stronger this year as not only realtors, but a couple.
Yeah, just don't give up. I mean, we came in at a very interesting time where, like we just mentioned, multiple offers, over asking, people paying the whole year.
Yeah, it's not the norm. You guys didn't come into a normal market.
I didn't come into a normal market, and it was cutthroat.
We
Like
had
chaotic,
to think out of the box. Mario had like I think the most difficult clients.
Yeah.
I would get
Crazy.
like the easy ones, like everything
and
good.
just I think the main thing is like Steven was telling earlier, right? The story behind each tenant. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, working as a couple, I mean, Chloe and I are obviously married, so we work as a
I always
couple,
like to know
right?
that.
And you guys are not married, but you're a couple. In real estate years, you guys might as
Not
well have
married.
been married.
Isabel's like,
Chloe and I have been approached in this conversation many times about like, let's see, guys, if you want them to be married, go ahead and leave us a like. And if this video gets 150 likes, then
Mario has
Mario's
to
gonna have to
step it up.
propose.
150
And-
likes?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we're aiming the bar low. I mean,
What are you doing,
150 likes. That's it, guys.
150,000 likes.
I see him blushing.
150 likes, and he will propose live on camera in the next video.
the wedding might be live next year. So
and we'll live stream the wedding if you guys all want to be there. But
Anyways.
the point is, I think Chloe and I get approached by this we
Yeah.
get approached on the topic of working with your significant other. Here's my take on working with your significant other. It's not for everybody, okay? I do think that there are personality types that need space in order to operate from their. So having that space of a 9 to 5 or whatever it is, even if you are both entrepreneurial in a way, just having your own time and having their own time and then spending time together afterwards is like very beneficial to a lot of people. Chloe and I are not those people. We always want to spend all the time, like a lot of time together. So it makes sense for us to want to create something because we don't get tired of each other, as cliche as that sounds. How have you guys been able to navigate that world? Is that true for you? Is that not?
I think it took some getting used to. Honestly, at the beginning, I did feel, and we talked about it. We're like, hey, maybe we're arguing a lot because we're hanging out all the time.
Too much.
But I love hanging out with him.
Don't.
Yeah, Mario's
don't
not
listen
bad
to
to
her.
hang out with.
I think I talked to Chloe one time about this, where when you're gonna go do showings, and let's say she doesn't have showings that day, she comes with, right?
Yeah.
And we both make content,
Yeah.
we both take photos, and it's like we're hanging out. It's
Yeah.
like you're with your best friend doing showings, and she'll be there. For example, she'll be there for when I do a walkthrough. She'll help me out. We'll make things quicker. It's honestly, it's a blast. And I don't know if you guys know. Well, you guys don't know definitely, but when I met her, I think I moved in with her. After how long did it take us to move in?
Oh yeah, we were
48 hours.
living together. We were roommates before we started dating.
Oh, yeah.
So our entire
Relationship
relationship has
together.
been
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
lived
so
together.
we're kind of used to it, but definitely when I first started out, it was a little difficult for Isabel. So
Yeah, because I remember you guys used to spend time apart. You guys didn't work
Yeah,
in the
we
same.
both
You
had
didn't
our
even work in the
own-
same industry before
Yeah.
you came in here. So it's interesting that seeing the dynamic of you two is kind of in a way reminiscent to our dynamic in like
Yeah,
just
no.
spending so much time together in a very chaotic.
I remember
setting.
before I even got into real estate, I would not understand his work hours. I was like, why are you working all the time? Like, we never spend time together. And then when I got into
Fair
real
point.
estate, when he was like, oh, help me out. And then I ended up getting, Isabel knows it, like she was in the office. I ended up getting into real estate. And shortly after, I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
get it. And then he'll be like, wait, why are you working on a Saturday and a
Yep.
Sunday till late? I'm like, I get it, babe. And I remember, I'll never forget, we were in our little apartment here in Brickell, and I looked at him, and we were in the kitchen. I was making dinner, and I told him, I finally understand, but don't use it against me.
Yeah,
And
good
then
point.
every time he's like doing showings again, I'm like, okay, I get it. So we even bring Harrison with us, and it does become a family event. And I think the other person appreciates too, because sometimes it can feel a little lonely as an agent if you're driving an
Yeah.
hour away, right? Make an outing out of it. So Sometimes when he has showings or we have showings like in Boca or whatever, we'll tend to get in the car, head over, and we'll be like, you know what, let's go have lunch or let's plan like a day out at the mall or something. And it adds to that quality time that you feel if you weren't in the industry, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
So it definitely praise you guys for that because it does take a lot. It's a learning curve, even in a relationship.
Yeah, if we had a plaque, we would definitely present it to you.
Back to you guys.
Yeah.
But
No, so I think to
guys.
recap on this, especially, look, if you're a tenant and you're looking to rent, one of the biggest questions that a lot of people have been asking us is, are prices either going to go up, go down, or stabilize, right? And obviously none of us have a crystal ball in order to determine that, but you can point to certain factors, right, that will indicate the likelihood of things happening. One of the things that I've been telling my clients is that as interest rates increase, less people can buy because they either don't qualify or they're no longer attracted to that. Meaning those people are not going to leave Miami, so they're probably going to be more prone to renting. So if you were on the fence about buying, let's say a year ago, and you've been thinking about buying, toying with the idea about buying, and now you got priced out of buying, that just means more renters in the pool of renting. So as crazy as it sounds, I wouldn't be surprised if rents stabilize for a little bit, and then as interest rates continue to rise, the rental market goes into like the second chaotic spin of just a lot of people flooding the market with multiple offers and things like that. So if you guys are looking to rent, well, first, do you think that is the case? Can a case be made about rents coming down within the next few years?
I definitely agree that they will have that spike. Right now, they have regulated a little bit. I see price drops between $100 to $200
Yeah.
in South Beach, in downtown, in Edgewater. So, but yeah, you're right. Interest rates are expected to rise a little bit. So
Yeah.
I do think we are going to have that rental
I
market
mean, one thing I think
dropping
is
off.
interesting, a lot of people, from what I've heard, I've talked to a couple rental communities now, and they haven't gotten as many renewals. And it's because people are saying, you know, I want to go back home. And then some people are also saying, hey, the prices are too high. Everything's lowering. We're not going to stay here. Right? So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Like you said, prices going up, the ability to buy being less and less. I think more or less we're going to have rentals keep going up sooner or later.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's kind of scary, right? Because Miami is not really known for like good income to rent discrepancy. You know, we already
Yeah.
are like in the
Yeah.
nation, we've always been one of the worst like paying cities versus rent, and that seems to be changing. Obviously, with the amount of like new corporations and big companies that are moving down here, obviously the salary seems to be increasing. Hopefully, at least the data points that way. Is it going to continue to do so in an increasing matter where that it's going to move the needle for people? Who knows? But as transferring over to a new agent, especially if you guys are new agents thinking about getting into the industry, one of the main things that they touched on is, man, getting a good broker who has a support staff, getting into a team if you can, but how do you do that? You provide value to the team, to your broker, right? I mean, a broker is going to pretty much give a chance on anybody, but like if you have a named broker, somebody who has a backing, who has the support, they're really going to try to support you as an agent to those agents who show initiative, right? Right now we're in the Cervera podcast room, if you will, and it's great that they even have this space, but not every broker has that ability to do so, right? Cervera just happens to have the name, happens to have the years, and happens to have the resources to do it. But getting into a team, if you're an agent that's looking to do that, see how you could provide value, because as a team leader or as someone who's been in the market or in the real estate industry for a while, if somebody approaches me like, hey, I want to join your team, at this point in time in our career, it's kind of like, okay, how can you save me time? How can you save me money? What skills do you have that I don't have that could be beneficial to my team? Because this needs to be a symbiotic relationship, right? It needs to be, I help you, you help me, and therefore it works out, right? And I say that because Mario and Isabel have been that. Like all these beautiful videos, even this video that you're seeing now that's edited is edited by my great friend here, Mario, right? And Isabel brings a lot of operational skills on the back end that you don't see, but we're trying to get her to the forefront of, being able to, showcase herself more to you guys. So,
Yeah, you'll be seeing more of me.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
worry.
Isabel, I know, and I'm really sad about that, so let's not talk about it. But Isabel's a pivotal person in CPM, which is our property management company. And she's unfortunately leaving us, but she came in and
to focus on real estate. Right,
like
more
that was
full-time,
her goal.
real estate
but
agent.
she's been my partner in crime this entire time. We launched CPM in 2019. So when Isabel came in, she's like, I'll do whatever it is that you need. And not knowing that she had so many wonderful attributes to her. But then she slowly realized, like, hey, I want to get into rentals and sales. You know, I want to make my own name out of this. So that's exactly what it is that she's doing. And now I'm excited to see, you know, what she's going to bring to the table as not just like a Vargas team member, but just for the marketing component as well. I think it's important because Mario did it from the very beginning. We're like, what are you good at? He's like, oh, I'm editing for sure. Like that's
and just a creative.
And I'm creative. I have ideas. And so they do take that in as a team and make the best of that situation.
How have you felt in terms of piggybacking off of what she said about like being creative and drawing value and Mario doing the editing? How have you felt that your skill set in terms of doing social, doing YouTube videos, putting out content has helped you? Have you guys think that that's helped you in your real estate career? And if so, how much do you attribute the, I guess, the wins coming from that?
I mean, absolutely, definitely. You need to be present on social media. You need to be present wherever you can, marketing-wise, especially as an agent, because you're now your own brand. Like, you're selling yourself. And the way you can help people. So joining the Vargas team, they have an established YouTube channel. So it's definitely helped me kind of think out of the box to my marketing page, to joining the Vargas team and adding content. Like, I have a lot of ideas for next year.
We're holding her accountable.
Submit your ideas in the comments and let us know what ideas you want.
What do
Isabel.
you want to see?
How has the buying market been to you? How has it treated you? What are your takeaways from just the whole buying experience?
So Mario and I had our first sale this year. Mario was actually representing the seller. I represented the buyer.
How cute is that, guys? I don't think if you tried this 100 times, you couldn't do it. I want you viewers and people out there
like
we have, but your first deal to be buying and selling it's your first deal on each side. That's kind of
it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Well, the
it's
deal
really
wasn't perfect, but
the deal wasn't perfect.
Far from perfect.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you want to give us a gist?
Do you guys want to give us a gist as to why it's not?
Nightmare story. Basically, I had a seller who wanted to sell his house in Coral Gables. We got a really good offer. We got a really good offer. We accepted it. He wanted it to be cash. He wanted it to be a quick closing, and we gave him all of that, right? So Isabel brought a buyer, and it was a cash offer, no contingencies.
At the price he wanted.
Yeah. And at the day of closing, just said, I'm not going. I call him, no answer. I get to his house. He's supposed to be moving stuff out. The closing agent's supposed to be going to his house because he didn't want to go sign because for whatever reason. I get there, there's nothing there. I check the door, the lock is changed completely, and I call him. And his lawyer picks up. There's not going to be any closing today. And I start freaking out. I call Riza. And I'm like, hey.
And it was April Fool's Day.
And April Fool's.
And that morning.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Chloe has a great story on this before. Yeah, tell the story.
Wait, what story?
The one that he texted you before this, and he told you that the deal wasn't going to happen. And then he said April Fool's. Didn't you say that?
That's what I said that to Riza.
Oh, okay.
And then Steven was like, you shouldn't have said that.
So wait, guys. Let me. If you guys are following this story, okay, you may be a little lost. Let me add some context. Riza is the attorney who is running title and basically handling the closing. It's April 1st, which is the day of closing. Mario texts Riza, the title company, saying the deal fell through. It's not going to happen, right? And Riza, the title company, is freaking out, like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, no, just kidding, it's April Fool's. A few hours later, he calls her and says the deal fell through. He's like, stop joking. He's like, no, it really did fall through. It really did fall through this time. So part of me is blaming Mario for this. You put it into.
Definitely not my fault. The guy knew what he was doing. Oh, also, I want to add this on. I had him already under contract for another property.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing the sale purchase.
And
block
that
bookings.
that property, I had that deal. I had lowered it. I had got him a great offer on it. I think it was like 25,000 under asking, and I was gonna give him from that closing. I was gonna give him about $5,000 for it to close.
It's generous.
Just to
Sweeten the
just to
deal.
make it happen. Because I already knew there was something going on.
Yeah. Whatever. The
We're
the
still
good
going
news.
on.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the good
yeah.
news
He's
is-
still reeling. He's still reeling, as you can see
Yeah,
from these closings.
Fast forward. Elizabeth's
Obviously,
clients
went to court.
took him to court, and yeah, we got a
were able
call.
to close.
Yeah, we got a call saying that we were gonna close.
Yeah.
But like months after this
Like
happened,
last
month.
month.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Last
when
month.
did this happen? It was
This
like
was
the
like
beginning
May,
of last year,
right?
right?
It was
April
like
1st
April.
was
Oh,
supposed
well,
to
April
be
1st they said it, yeah.
the
Okay.
closing date, and then
It
we
closed.
finally closed November 3rd, 4th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
First week
2
of
days,
November.
like 3 days after my birthday.
Yeah,
So we
both of our
celebrated.
birthdays are in
Yeah.
November.
They're
November.
still celebrating,
Yeah, we're
guys.
still
celebrating.
We got a flight to Colombia next week.
So if you guys are interested in renting, call him in the new year because they will not be here at the end of this year. Yeah, look, real estate almost never goes as planned. Like it's never. I know it may seem. I think the job of us real estate agents is to make it seem externally to our clients that it went super smooth, but internally we're putting out fires. We're basically just trying to figure out how to navigate from chaos to chaos to chaos, and still maintaining like a tucked in shirt and a tie at the end of it. But like it's really chaotic. But that's, I guess, what we signed up for, right? But these stories are cool. Do you guys have any other interesting buying stories?
That was like
That was a pretty.
star
That
of
was
the
a pretty.
show. Yeah.
That was a pretty good. I once had like I think it was my first year in real estate. I think I had something similar, but I was representing the buyer, and I remember we did the walkthrough. The walkthrough was the day of the closing. In the morning, the closing happened in the afternoon, and the buyer walks in, and the seller had removed all the living room furniture. And I was so green, I didn't know that they had a beautiful plasma TV on the wall and everything like that. And I was like, oh, it looks great. It's staged perfectly. But they removed it and they didn't patch up the holes. And it was just a complete mess, right? And so we walked in and it looked nothing like the place. And my buyer was like, great, I'm not closing. So I, of course, didn't know at the time what breach of contracts were or whatever it was. I didn't know like the legalese, if you will. But my thing was just like, I have so much invested in this. I really need, Chloe needs a new pair of shoes, like whatever it is, right? And so
Good point.
what I'm doing is I'm buying putty, trying to patch up. I'm not handy whatsoever, but I'm still trying to patch up like walls and trying to get somebody to paint it. Just like spend like $500 out of my own pocket to paint a wall, whatever it was. But
you've moved mattresses.
Yeah, we've moved mattresses.
Tried to paint an entire apartment that we've had to hire.
And then I had to hire
painter.
somebody else.
And it brings me on board to try to figure this out. I definitely can't, but-
When you first start out and you have a
You
lot
have to
of
hustle.
when you don't have a lot of
You have to
resources,
hustle,
right? You have to
figure it
hustle. You
out.
have to figure it
I've
out.
had to clean a toilet before
Yeah.
to like make it presentable. Like
Look, this is not glamorous, guys. All right, this life is not glamorous. Sometimes you
Not.
see like the big checks and whatever it is, like the amount of work and time and effort and sacrifice that goes into getting to those points is like a lot, And but we're not here to complain about it. Anyways, going into property management.
No, but I think that's a good segue because like we have to find all these solutions, right? Especially for our clients and owners and tenants, and we get asked a lot about advice. And then going into property management, it sort of steered us that way because we were putting out all these fires. And at some point, you're like, I'm not getting paid for this time. Like, this is a lot of time and effort I'm putting into all of this. As much as we love to, listen, we're helpful. We go above and beyond for all of our clients. I think we can all agree. But it got to a point, at least for Steven, that he started seeing, like, people would just not stop. It was always like, hey, you don't know how to change a light bulb or an AC filter? Like, here, we would try to make videos and try to simplify it. And Steve was like, you know what? We need to create a property management company. And I looked at him and I go, we? He's like, yeah. I'm like, no. And then somehow I remember, so I'm like, I don't want to do that. Please, let's not do that. Because you're constantly putting out the fire. You're never on a good side. So I think when we got into CPM, when you really wanted to launch it was when we got our investment properties.
Yeah, I think you guys have heard this story countless times if you're a viewer of the channel.
You said it?
Yeah, I've said this story in so many different times. So I'm not going to belabor the point or bore you with the details. But yeah, part of it is true. Yeah, we started the management side of this business because like after you do so many rentals, and this is something that you guys are probably going to encounter in the next few years, and any agent who's starting out as a new agent, you start off with rentals, and then you hope to like migrate those renters into buyers, and then you have a long enough outstanding relationship with them, they'll start to sell the property that you sold them, and then vice versa, and then, you know, it continues. But a funny thing happens, which is you have a bunch of renters, right? And then you get a bunch of rental listings, and then all those maintenance issues fall on you because you know, there is a difference between being a real estate agent and being a property manager, right? Unfortunately, a lot of clients don't see that difference. No. So they're like, I paid you 1 month's full rent. You should take care of my client in perpetuity. You know, like if they need an AC filter, you should be there. And it doesn't work that way. Like obviously our job as real estate agents is to find tenants, but property managers' job is to make sure that they stay happy. And I was just getting inundated with calls on a monthly basis of rentals that I was doing. I was like, man, this is just not, I might as well just not do a rental, right? Because it's just killing so much of my time until voila, light bulb went off and we're like, we should do it. But it really cemented when we started buying investment properties, and we're like, well, we've done the rental process about 1,000 times. We should probably be able to manage our own rental properties, and that's how it started. And property management really became an investment arm, right? So Miami has become an investment city. Have you guys seen more, and have you dealt with more of investors like looking to invest in Miami? And if so, like what type of investments are they looking for?
Buying property here as investments.
Yeah,
I think everybody talks about this one dream client. That's like, oh yeah, my client's coming over here. He's buying properties, and I'm gonna sell him all these properties, and then help him manage them, and this and that. But no, long story short, I have not found that client yet. One day I will, but I think
So if you're out there, guys,
if you're out there, hit my line.
Mario's email is gonna be right here.
But I think something interesting that's happening is, I think something that you and I have talked about is that Florida right now is becoming less and less investor friendly, right? What I mean by that is the numbers just aren't just making sense, right? And what were you saying the other day? That insurances are going up.
Everything's going up. Taxes are going up. Everything.
And so that's one of the things that we're gonna start seeing soon. So it's interesting to see, because that's what I wanted to do. When I first joined the team, I told you guys, investment properties, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to help people. I want to help people buy these. I want to help manage them. I want to get my own, because that's my goal, right? But let's see what happens. You know, personally, I haven't helped out that client.
Yeah, I haven't either. That's my goal for 2023 is, you know, find those investors and learn how to give or find these properties, find these deals, find, you know, the ones that give you the cash flow that you need.
I speak that language, right? Because it's like it is a different type of real estate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think people conflate the two, especially if you're a buyer. You don't know that somebody who sells a traditional home to an end user isn't necessarily well versed to be an investor agent, right?
And I feel like also a lot of people will come to Miami and they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna buy an investment property, let me buy a condo. And sometimes condos are not the best investment. So
yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I've had this debate with many people, right? And it's just like condos weren't traditionally made to be investments, nor were single families. They were made for people to live in. So multifamilies and commercial and, you know, other types of products out there were made for investments. And so thereby it makes more sense to buy something that's more investor friendly, because they were basically constructed for that purpose. Now, do we have clients that have condos and apartments and single family homes that make them a ton of money? Yes. But usually those people bought a long time ago, right? With interest rates very low.
Or they're called short-term rentals.
Or they're called short-term rentals, which is another hot topic in the market with the whole short-term rental side. Brickell is changing a lot. I remember when Chloe and I got in the business, and then Chloe got in the business like 5 years after me or whatever it was. When I got in the business, there was no short-term rental option in Brickell or in the vicinity, right? Like there wasn't even a thought of a building becoming available that will even house or allow short-term rentals. And I remember even back then, the restrictions on condominiums were a year rental minimum, right? And then it started becoming more lax, and then they started letting 6 months, and then now a lot of buildings are doing month-to-month rentals, right? Which you can take advantage in Airbnb if you do a month-to-month. They're called midterm rentals. So you have your short-term and then you have your long-term, and then there's midterm stays. Chloe and I actually have a property where we had a renter stay for 64 days, right? And so we rented it on Airbnb for a midterm stay. So if you do have a condo in the Brickell downtown area that does month-to-month, that may be an option to do if your building, of course, allows it. But that is an option. But now there are projects like Smart Brickell, Lofty, these
Nativo.
buildings that are Nativo that are created or being constructed in the Brickell downtown area that are going to basically allow for short term, but not only allow it, have services within the building already implemented and integrated to facilitate. So the Airbnb game is changing. The short term game is changing. How do you guys feel like that's going to happen? Like what's going to happen with that in 2023 and onward?
I mean, well, that's a great investment. Like that to me is like money, 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 money. If you have a building in Brickell, in Edgewater, in downtown that already allows this and has like the licensing as well, because I know some of them like licensing for Airbnb is a mission. Chloe knows.
Yeah, it's
So
never easy, but
yeah, so these buildings already have that implemented in their programs, their rental programs. So I mean, it's like
I
I said,
think
money,
the
money.
secret, and it's not just, how do I say this? Like, I feel like owners go into Airbnb and they constantly think like, oh, I can just list my property, let's just put it on and see how much money we get. It doesn't work like that. There's so much smart pricing, research, strategy, systems. I mean, I can go on and just say like everything that you need to know and have the bandwidth to be able to handle and just like underwrite. Like if you don't have somebody doing your underwriting and understanding like, do your numbers make sense? Like, can you afford this property? At the end of the day, what is your primary goal, right? Then you shouldn't even start, right? And a lot of the times what I'm seeing, and I think we're coming across that with a client that we're trying to onboard now into Airbnb, they don't have the licensing. I don't know how they manage to list these properties, but if God forbid the city finds out, you get fined for it, Airbnb fines you for it, and then you end up just like losing all the money you just made in an entire year.
Yeah.
So I think the primary goal is to find an agent or a team or pretty much an agent or a team that knows exactly what they're doing, especially not with just long-term investments, short-term, right? Do they have that forte to sort of steer you the right way and make sure that they guide you from beginning to end? And I think that that's really what we pride ourselves at the Vargas team is we help you from the very beginning when we have you as a rental client to the very end when you're an investor, and then to manage your property, right, and get you that return. So.
Yeah, I think speaking on like the uniqueness of our team, and I'm sure there's tons of teams that, especially in Miami, that offer a lot of good incentives, a lot of good resources. But for us, it's unique in the sense that we do have shameless plug here. But we do have the experience of us being investors, owning so much real estate, right? And it's rental real estate, of understanding like how to underwrite, right? And then having the property management arm of understanding like how to do dynamic pricing, like how Chloe was saying, understanding what your low season rent, what your high season rent is, like what are the events that move the needle in terms of your occupancy rate, what your ADR is, like all these things that is babble to most people who don't get into business. But like if the person who's doing that for you doesn't understand the language and the techno babble, if you will, then it's at a disservice. And then having people like Mario and Isabel who understand the tenant relationship so well because they've gone through the rental process so many times, they understand what renters are looking for in a property, right? And so like putting all those components together, it's not a one size fits all. It's a really customizable approach, but like how to understand the uniqueness in that is kind of key. Now obviously we're all trying to get better and making sure that we come with the times, because I think 2023 is going to be a very interesting time in terms of investments, in terms of just real estate and buying here. A lot of people are waiting for and saying that the market is going to collapse. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Like it's too hard to tell. But one interesting statistic is that close to 50% of purchases that happened in the last 2 years in Miami were cash buyers, right? So that puts a little bit extra safety net in us because they're not being forced to move out anytime. As long as they pay their property taxes, they're going to be fine, right? So is there going to be a huge wave of foreclosures where like the national average of cash buyers was like 20%, we're like double it? I mean, yeah, obviously that could happen. Anything could happen, but it seems like Miami, in the very least, and maybe it's just positive thinking, right, is that we're a little bit more insulated. Do you think that the demand for Miami has changed at all within renters, buyers, sellers, all of that?
Most
Yes,
definitely.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think the mayor has changed that. I think technology
for
coming
sure.
to Miami and like all these billion-dollar businesses coming from major cities. I mean, we're talking San Francisco, New York. People are still coming in.
Chicago as well.
Yeah.
The idea here is, can you afford to live here anymore if you grew up here? Is
Oh, yeah.
where I'm seeing a pattern, right? Where I'm getting calls from people I went to high school with, or like even college. They're like, "Hey, is like that really what rent is going for? Like, how am I supposed to buy a house?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Listen, I'm an investor. We don't own our property. Like, we rent because that is what we believe in right now.
Yeah.
Will we wait? 100%." But I definitely don't think that. I think for people that have the money, they're gonna still keep coming, right? I
Yeah.
think Miami is a very different city than what you'll find anywhere. I would say even in the world. I think that we've traveled to tons of places, and there's one thing that we always say when we're coming back, even 5 days in. I'm so happy to be home.
back.
For
Yeah.
sure.
It is the one place where it's business, but it's pleasure, and it's you can be on an everyday vacation if you wanted to. Don't, because you gotta hustle and you gotta work.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that it's that city that just sets it apart from everything
We
else.
travel to other amazing cities,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we always miss Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
And I wanted to move out here. I was like, I want to go to New York. And then COVID hit. I was like, I do not want to go to
Yeah.
New York. I want to stay in Miami. So
Yeah, Miami
I
is
get it.
unique, man. There's a flavor that you just can't put your hand, like your finger on. It's just something that's you have to live here to experience it, you know. But like most of the people that we've done transitions for, from like migrating or transplants, as they like to call themselves, you know, a year, 2 years later, I asked them, they're like, "Yeah, man, moving here was the best thing that
Yeah.
I've ever done." I have yet to hear someone's like, "Yeah, Miami's totally opposite of what I thought it was gonna be. I need to move back."
But another trend on finance, if you can't afford Miami, you're moving your way up north, right?
Yeah,
You're going
up
into
north,
Fort
yeah.
Lauderdale, Boca,
Yeah.
even Tampa, which is like real hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah,
that
those
people
markets
they're
are exploding.
Not settling because I mean you're still in Florida, which is wonderful. But at the end of the day, yeah, our prices are going up everywhere. I think if you're going to invest in something, I won't even say invest. If you really want to enjoy and put your money, you know, in a good investment, it would be a long-term investment. I would say Miami. It's a fairly new city, but it definitely will have the history for years to come.
Well, I think we covered a lot today. I think we covered all of real estate problems today in a less than hour. I'm kidding. We did not cover all of real estate. That's a terrible joke on my part, but tough crowd. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for having this conversation. I think we've talked a lot, and hopefully it's been of value and of service to you guys who are watching this, if you guys are still watching this. Let us know, again, in the comments if this is something you want to see, and if you have questions about our next podcast or what topics we should bring up. We'd love to discuss it. This is the home team today, right? So we'd like to continue to bring you more podcasts like this with more topics that may be of interest and maybe some possible interviews in the future. I don't know. But one thing that we can say from the Vargas team is that expect a lot of content from us. I think we're each going to make a commitment personally and to you guys out there to bring you more value, more content, more service, more information, anything that can help you in terms of buying, renting, selling, or investing in the Miami area. We want to be your resource for that. So how we can do that is, we have our ideas, but like Isabel said earlier, if you have any ideas yourself, let us know, because that's kind of what the goal is. Does anyone have anything to say before we check out?
I just want to say thank you guys. I want to say thank you to the team, of course, because without you guys, we wouldn't have gotten to a top producing team this year. So we're super excited about that. But I definitely want to say thank you to the subscribers, because we know that there's other channels that you can be watching when it comes to rental, sales, investing. And the fact that you dedicate your time week in and week out to sharing and posting our content and just sort of like a word of mouth kind of thing, it's definitely worked, and the numbers are showing. So like we really do appreciate that. So that's what I wanted to add.
Wow, it's better said than I could have said it. Well, I can't say I know. I'm
No, because it's important.
Yeah,
They
no,
need
it
to know
is.
this
It is.
stuff.
It really is.
The numbers are showing.
The numbers,
So it's important.
the base is growing, guys, and it's only with your help. So if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, click the subscribe button. It's free $99. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to us, as you can see. So thank you so much for tuning in, making it this far. We'll see you next week. So take care. Have a great holiday season, and God bless.